And welcome back, everyone, to Pokemon Team Creation Series. This episode comes to us from CJM, who asked the question, what is Baki Hanma's? From Baki the Grappler, although it's now Baki something else. This has been like Baki the Grappler, Baki something or other. I can't remember the actual names they've shared or they've had since then. But yeah, he's the main protagonist of those series. Baki's one of those characters that's kind of a boring team in many ways, because let's be all up front right now. It's mostly fighting types. It is mostly fighting types. Baki sadly does not have a lot of character that lends itself to a unique team, at least in terms of typing. He's a fighter. Yeah, he's matured and he's learned some different things, and we definitely can diversify the fighting types on the team, but in terms of variety, there's not much else to go over. Yeah, he had a dog at one point, but I don't know if he still has a dog now. But do I just put a dog on the team because he had one? I don't think that really works. Do I put a Gardevoir on the team because he had a girlfriend? I don't think that works. So, yeah, let's just get into it. The majority, there is one non-fighting type, you'd say. The majority of this is a fighting type team, but there is one non-fighting type, and we'll talk about that at the end. Right out the gate, one of the first ones that did come to mind was Primeape. Why Primeape? Well, one, Baki is still growing even as an individual, even now in his series. Still growing stronger, still improving, still evolving. That's one reason I didn't go with Annihilate. Primeape also represents at least a little bit of that youthful rage and angst he had back in the day. But beyond that, I did want a Pokemon on the team, because one of the few things I remember from the early Baki the Grappler series was the fight with the Yasha Ape, where he beat the Yasha Ape, and the ape gave him a fang as like a mark of honor for beating me. So this is, except for Infernape, this is the only option I had apart from Annihilate. And then Infernape didn't really work for the Yasha Ape in my mind. The Yasha Ape was a lot more brutal and a lot more feral than, say, Infernape is. That's why Primeape, I think, works. But he's also ranked as the strongest guy in the world. I mean, technically speaking, he's not. Yujiro is still, by and large, the strongest creature in the world. Baki's the strongest man in the world, but he is also a martial artist, and he does participate in the tournaments because he is the strongest in the world. So I like Swak for that. He's constantly wearing a gi, so it makes sense. He's participating in the tournaments. But beyond that, between Swak and Throw, Swak is the faster, more attack oriented, whereas Throw is the slower but more defense oriented. And while Baki certainly knows things like judo and all that, he is much more of a fast grappler fighter type. So Throw, although could be useful as well, I prefer Swak on this team. There are none of the Hitmons on the team, by the way. There's no Hitmontop, Lee, or Chan. The reason for that is none of them really work for Baki. Hitmontop certainly doesn't work because he's just a spinning top. Chan is just a boxer. Lee is the only one that kind of comes close, but Baki doesn't just use his legs, he uses his arms as well. So neither of those guys really worked in my mind. Then we had, now this has an extra meaning. I had Lucario on the team. Again, another team that has Lucario on there. I know it seems like he does it every single time. Well, it makes sense. Lucario is a very all-purpose Pokemon for these kind of videos. But Lucario also is able to sense aura, which goes into Baki's heightened fighting experience and training. And Lucario is is based off a jackal. It's a dog. So you can also reference Baki had a dog at one point. That is literally just me adding something on there. But still, it can reference that. Now we get into some of the heavy hitters on the team. Starting off, Urshifu. Young cub turning into Urshifu. That really is Baki's story, isn't it? Constantly training, constantly getting stronger, constantly learning until he ultimately gets to choose his evolutionary path. Does he go more the Yujiro Hanma route? I like to say the single strike ultimate punch, which, by the way, whenever I get to Yujiro, that would probably be on the team. Is the single strike, or in this case, the rapid strike, where Baki is known for his intense speed. Like, Baki is known to be, I think, the fastest individual in the Bakiverse, even faster than his father. His father is still stronger than him by a long mile, but even stronger than his father, or faster than his father. And so Rapid Strike Urshifu made a lot more sense in that regard. Then we have Marshadow. Marshadow's a unique one. I'm looking at Marshadow. I'm like, I don't put Marshadow on the teens very much. And I like Marshadow. I never got a chance to get one, but I like Marshadow. Marshadow, I had to confirm with its Pokedex entry, but it hides in shadows. It's a shadow boxer, but literally it's copying martial arts styles from individuals whose shadows it's hiding in. It's learning from other individuals to grow stronger and create one singular style. And that is Baki to a T. From, what was it? Hanayama? The big Yakuza guy. Hanayama? From Hanayama to Yujiro to the boxer Baki fought as well. From the prisoners to the what was it? The 5 Chinese masters. I'm a pickle. Oh God, I'm blanking on his name. Why am I blanking on his name? The swordsman that we're coming up to in the arc, one of the best characters in the. Oh, Matsumoto. I think it's is it Matsumoto? Baki. I'm blanking on his name. 1 second here, because he is such a cool character. Matsumoto? No, it's not Matsumoto. Baki. Oh God. Miyamoto. Oh, Musashi. That was it. Musashi. There we go. I think it's his name is. It is Miyamoto. Miyamoto Musashi. It took me forever to remember that name. And he is one of the he is a horrifying individual, but he's so cool. I can't wait for that guy to be animated, because it's gonna be so cool. Because he's arguably even stronger than Yujiro. That's how scary he is. He's at least on par, although if Yujiro really wanted to go all out, I have a feeling he'd win. But still, that's how strong Miyamoto Musashi is. And he's learned from all these individuals. It's very similar to how Marshall learns from every individual whose fighting style it's copying. So I liked Marshadow for this. It also gives you kind of now the legendary mythical stats that the Hanma line has. How Baki is now kind of like this creature of legend, just like Yujiro is. But speaking of it, I had to put something to represent Baki's father on the team. I had to put something to represent Yujiro on the team. And this is where the one exception to it was all fighting types came in, because there's really only, he's known as the ogre, first and foremost. And he is the strongest creature on the planet. Now, hypothetically, I could throw like an Arceus out there or a Mewtwo or whatever, but none of those actually fit. But I wanted something that represented an ogre, represented something monstrous, this hulking beast, and a very powerful mon. Now, we do have Ogerpon, but let us not mince words here. Even though it's stat-wise is stronger than the mon I'm about to use here, that is not a Yujiro Hanma ogre. That does not work at all, Ogerpon. But what does work is very ogre-looking, Grimmsnarl. Now, Grimmsnarl technically is based, I think, more off a troll than an ogre, but you can definitely use it to represent an ogre. By the by, these two would probably be on the team if whenever I get around to doing Yujiro Hanma, which I'm pretty sure I haven't done. I will double check that at the end of this video, though. Excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's very troll, very ogre-like, very menacing-like. It is a very capable mon, no doubt about it. And I think it works. It's that lingering, in fact, maybe you could even say that Baki didn't start out with like a Mankey or something like that. He started, for something, let's say he started with a cub food, but also he was gifted like an Impy Dimp from his dad. And it's just a reminder, and being impish and kind of being a punk kind of works as well. And so, he trained to be the very best, regardless of what his father said. Ultimately, he has embraced that side of his heritage as well. He's even kind of forgiven his dad a little bit for his mom's death, although not 100%. And nor should he, really. But yeah, so, as always, the question is, how balanced is this team? And the correct answer is not very, because it's mostly all a single type. But the second answer is not too bad. There's only 3 types. 3 types that actually give this team any sort of problem. Unfortunately, because they're almost all of them share a single type, and 2 of them are monotype. Those 3 types kind of run through this team. What are those types? Well, one is flying. That's the type that does the least amount of damage to this team because it's gonna hurt Swak, Primeape, Urshifu, and Marshadow because flying is gonna hit fighting. Grimmsnarl doesn't have any weakness to flying, and Lucario's steel type does help prevent any real strong damage from flying. It can still take damage, mind you, but it's more neutralized thanks to flying, or thanks to steel. So, flying, definitely a problem. But then you get into the other 2, which cleave respectively through 5 members of this entire team. And those are Psychic and Fairy. Fairy goes through all this team except for Lucario because the steel is straight out resistant to Fairy. So it's going to have at least some benefit, resistance. Whereas Grimmsnarl, because it's part dark and Fairy doesn't resist Fairy at all, is going to get hit by the Fairy type. It's going to get hurt by it. And then the Psychic type is the reverse. It cleaves through all the others except Grimmsnarl because the dark type is immune to Ghost, or is immune to Psychic. So there's that. Now, should note that your Marshadow does have an immunity to both normal and fighting type moves, and Lucario has an immunity to poison as well. So it does carry a couple advantages beyond that as well. But otherwise, any other weakness that, say, like Grimmsnarl has, none of the other members of the team share. Like fighting, for example, Bug, thanks to the dark type, none of these guys have a weakness to Bug. Fighting doesn't do well against Bug, but it's not, or doesn't hurt Bug very much, but Bug doesn't hurt fighting much either. Other than that, fighting is going to go pretty much neutral towards everyone here. Marshadow, like says, immune. Lucario is definitely going to get a little hurt, but nothing serious. I really didn't record any weaknesses that weren't 3 or over. That was the thing. And like Urshifu is going to get hit by electric, and it's going to hurt. And grass is going to hurt it a little bit. But other than that, nothing that really carries over to another type or another mon on the team. So that is my thoughts on Baki Hanma's Pokemon team. But this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified, and I'll see you next time.